Thank you for tuning in to the Into the Classroom series produced by Mental Health California, sponsored by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative.
How's it going, everybody? I want to thank you guys for joining us at the pod at 7 today. We have an amazing topic with amazing speakers and guests. I can't wait to get started. I want to first thank Mental Health California and Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative for supporting the pod at 7. Thank you for all the peer leaders, clinicians, youth mentors, and of course, you guys for joining us here today. Um, just a few brief reminders. This is a safe and respectful space. No cursing, no stigma, and no shame at all. We're gonna have the sign in later in the chat, so please stay till the very end to be able to sign in, and that's linked to your stipend. We're gonna have gift cards being given out for trivia today, and so please watch in the chat. And just a reminder that sign in is gonna close at 8:30 sharp. So please, 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 when you see it in the chat, go ahead and sign in. And also, we're going to be doing a quick survey in the middle of the pod today. So please stay tuned for that and be paying attention. But for now, I'm going to pass it to no other than Mr. Andre to give us the pod at 7 overview.
Thank you so much for that, Alexios. As you said, welcome to the pod at 7. Today, we're going to be talking about building mental resilience. And guys, the reality is that life is going to throw curveballs at you. You know, doors are going to close, friends are going to disappear. You're going to get into arguments with your peers. And at the end of the day, when life throws those curveballs, the question is that mental resilience going to kick in, or are you guys going to give up? And today, we're going to unpack how to be mentally resilient and how to really make sure that, those curveballs can build us up instead of break us down. And I'm going to pass it over to Coach Crump so he can introduce today's topic.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Coach Crump. Happy to be here with y'all again on this another wonderful conversation. So when we're talking about building mental resilience, when we talk about resilience is not about acting like nothing's wrong or you pretending like you don't feel whatever you're feeling, like those curveballs that Andre was talking about, right? It's really about learning the tools to adapt and having the ability to keep moving forward. We all are going to face tough moments, whether that's bad grades, it might be tension with your friends or your family. It might even just be a wave of anxiety that comes and hits you out of nowhere. But no matter what it is, what matters most is how you respond. So, with those responses, you have to understand like you got to find a way to manage that stress and find ways to protect yourself so you can bounce back or you can pivot from whatever it is that might have hit you or might be trying to like break you down. So we're gonna have a wonderful conversation, tonight, and I'd love to keep the conversation going. So I'm gonna pass it back over to Andre, so we can talk about the next topic of discussion.
Thank you for that, Coach Crump. And I'm super excited to get into today's conversation. We're going to jump straight into our icebreaker today. And our icebreaker is going to be think about a time when you had to bounce back from something tough. What helped you keep going? And if you guys could drop a quick sentence or two sentences that really helped you, and don't be shy. If it helped you, it can help somebody else. There's, nothing weird or anything like that. As Alexios mentioned before, this is a safe space. So I'm seeing God, family, my faith and family, my family's love and support. God, I like that answer. That's super important to me as well. Believing in something bigger than yourself. Family and friends, super important. When it comes to really making sure that you have that help and that support system to keep going is exactly why we're here. we have these webinars to make sure that you guys feel supported and you guys know that you will always have a support group within us to keep going. Let's see, my cats, that's a funny one. Family, the people around me, and God. Yeah, keep good people around you and have that belief that's higher than yourself. And family is super important. And now we're gonna jump straight in to our Stay Resilient video. But you guys can go ahead and keep responding as well.
Happy Thursday, everyone. This is Justin Martinez with your Motivational Minute. I just pulled those weeds 3 days ago, and they're already starting to grow back. Those weeds are resilient. They are not giving up. Despite being pulled, plucked from the bottom up, I dug them up from the root, and they're still finding a way to still grow. What's your source of resilience? Are you going to keep growing when you're pulled, when you're plucked? Don't let go of your resiliency if you want to achieve something. Become a weed and go and get what you want until you get it. Don't forget to stay resilient today. Happy Thursday.
That is my brother, Justin Martinez, and he is one of the most resilient person I know. And many of you in the room, I've heard your stories, especially our mentor and clinicians. So we want to do a quick poll and, see what your response is. So for poll number 1 today, the question is, when life throw you challenges your way, what's your first reaction? And there's a couple answers there. Shut down, need time to process, straight up block it out and keep moving, find someone I trust and reach out for support, look for a way to blame the situation on someone else, and pray and use my faith to get through it. So let's see your response. Oh, we got a lot of shutting down and a lot of strong faith believer in the crowd. Awesome. Love that. Okay, the results are rolling in. I think personally, for me, when it comes to these questions, it just really depends on your past experience. I think when it comes to how to handle a tough situation or challenges, um, I'm a very logical person. So when life throw me a challenge, my first instant response is not to get angry or upset, or I think the emotion part come after I have tried to solve the problem myself. And a lot of time, let's say my car broke down and, I don't have a ride to go to work. I can sit there and be upset and, get into that victim mode and think to myself, like, why is this happening to me? Or I can figure out a way to get to work. And these days with Uber and Lyft, everything is just relatively easy. Um, Even you don't have the money for it, you can always put it on a credit card and, deal with that later, because getting to work or getting to school is more important. I think that like logical aspect has always saved me, the emotional heartache that come with it. Um, but a lot of time, I'm a type of person that also have no problem reaching out for help. I've been so fortunate in my life that I can easily have friends that I talk to and just kind of reach out, even if they cannot help me financially or try to give me the solution. I think just having those comforting thoughts that someone care about me really helped me push through. But I know many of you who may have been in earlier stage in your life and had not built a good, strong friendship foundation, or just don't feel comfortable talking to people. Sometimes you feel like the need to shut down or block it and keep moving because our societies celebrate the culture of hustling, right? And then try to be strong, meaning you can't feel anything, you can't show your emotion, because emotion have been shown to be viewed as weakness in our modern day society. And I think the momentum has changed, where now showing your emotion and show your vulnerability is becoming a power, and people are taking it back. And I can not love it anymore. Um, I'm not a man of faith myself. I'm Buddhist, so I'm not Christian or Catholic, and I don't go to church. But I know that believing in in something bigger than yourself, something that will be really powerful for those who believe in it. And kudos to you for that. Um, I do want to ask Dr. Rimty. Dr. Rimty, if you don't mind, can you please touch on how our nervous system and past experiences can play a role in your kind of knee-jerk reaction to life challenges?
Yeah, definitely. So, when we're talking about resilience, in and of itself, what happens when we're under stress? There's a part of our brain that alarm system goes off. So, has it ever happened to you, Patrick, that your desktop or your computer or mobile froze, like it's not working at all, right? It happens. It happens to a lot of us. Think of our brain kind of that way, but when we're under stress, it kind of freezes up. The part of the brain that helps with planning is not really working. It's offline, let's say. But when you're practicing coping skills, when you're practicing breathing, grounding, when you have a support system, as some of you said, you pray and you have faith. Faith is also a support system. Those actually strengthens the connection between the areas in your brain. So over time, your brain can learn that, yeah, this is hard, but am I in danger? No, I can slow down and I can choose my response. And a lot of the times, I think, as Patrick pointed out, a lot of the people chose, shutting down. And from neurological perspective, those answers, everything is completely human. Every one of those answers, what they tell you that is, it's your nervous system trying to keep you safe. Something stressful is happening, your brain is freezing up, your brain is thinking, I need to survive. I don't need to adapt. I don't need to grow right now, but I just need to survive. I need to keep my body just enough living to keep it survive, to keep going. But it's okay. It's okay for your brain to do that. But over time, you have to ask yourself, is it actually helping me recover or is it keeping me stuck? Another example that here I'm going to use is a cockroach and Justin's weed, right? So we all know that cockroaches have survived through the test of time. But that's all it did. It survived. It survived by staying only alive, only hidden, only doing the bare minimum. But look at the weed in Justin's yard. Those adapted, those found cracks in concrete, those changed directions, those grew. Those kept growing, even in places it wasn't supposed to. So when you think about it from a neurological perspective, do you want to keep your brain in that cockroach mode or do you want to grow to become a weed? Maybe at first the weeds are not pretty. Maybe it's a little bit messy. Resilience is a little bit messy. But finding those small ways to grow, to adjust, to take up the spaces, that's resilience. That's adapting to your environment.
Thank you, Dr. Rimty. That's a beautiful way to describe resiliency. And now we're gonna move on with our agenda, and I'm passing on to Alexio.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and thank you so much, Dr. Rimty, for your amazing insights. We're gonna move on to our first trivia of today. So I want to give you guys two tips, right? Please wait for the entire question to be posted before you submit in the chat box your response. And also your response needs to be in the meeting group, to meeting group, not to anyone individual or just the administrators here. So if we get that question trivia in the chat, which experiential art show lets people walk through famous paintings? Is it F, the Louvre, S, Art Basel, M, Immersive Van Gogh, or U, Tate Modern? So go ahead and keep, okay, I see a lot of The first couple were A's and B's, but I know those are options. So, I appreciate you being active in the chat. If we could see who. You have a lot of M's, F's, S. Keep going, keep going. Congratulations, Lily. You got the answer correct. It was M, Immersive Van Gogh. So you'll be getting an additional $25 gift card. Congratulations. Thank you all for playing. We're going to continue. We're going to have trivia later. So please stay tuned. I'm going to pass it over to Andre to introduce our video.
Thank you for that, Alexios. And yeah, you guys, don't just put A, B, C, or D. It's going to be different letters each time. So let that be a lesson for the upcoming trivia that we have. But for now, we're going to jump straight into our topic media, building mental resilience.
Just by a show of hands, how many of you are working on building up your mental resilience? I'll raise my hand too, because it's a good thing to do so, and really proud that all of you are working towards that. And clearly, you're not alone. So let's go ahead and get into our conversation with our slide presentation on building mental resilience and empowering students to overcome challenges and thrive. So when we talk about resilience, right, we want to talk about a resilient mindset. Mental resilience refers to the ability to adapt, bounce back, and maintain well-being in the face of hard times, in the face of stress or setbacks. It also involves developing coping strategies, fostering a positive mindset, and building a support system to navigate challenges effectively. Oh, those stressful factors. They're going to come and they're going to go. And we know that students face a range of stressors, including academic demands, extracurricular activities, familial pressures, social pressures, as well as the uncertainty of the future. And for youth of color and marginalized students, racial stress, trauma, and discrimination can exacerbate these challenges. It is important to acknowledge and validate their experiences, providing them with culturally resistant strategies to cope with these unique stressors. Moving on, when we talk about behavioral health facts, let's go ahead and look at some statistics. So according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, also known as NAMI, approximately 1 in every 5 youth aged 13 through 18 experience a severe mental disorder at some point during their life. Building mental resilience can help reduce the risk and impact of mental health issues. And as we continue on, the American Psychological Association, or the APA, has reported that college students often face high levels of stress, with over 41% experiencing anxiety and over 36% experiencing depression. Developing these resilient skills can certainly enhance their ability to cope with academic pressure and life transitions. So let me pause here and talk to some of our young folks. And I just wanted to ask, when it comes to the academic pressure or social pressure and things of that nature, what types of pressure are you experiencing? So I'll go with you first, Keyshawn. Can you talk to us about what some of that academic pressure might look like?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like obviously a common thing in college is, or any schooling, is managing your academics with your social life and maybe with your outside factors. So I know a lot of people that feel a lot of anxiety just when a test is coming up. Maybe they know the material, they've studied it, but it's just the pure fact of it being a test and having to show those skills and thinking, okay, man, I have one midterm, I have one final, and that's it. That's my grade. If I mess this up, then I messed up all the work that I've done in class. So they build a lot of anxiety from that in that regard. Same with any social pressure as well. If you're feeling out of place from your friends or out of place from the class, that can add to it as well. And I can definitely relate to that. I've experienced a lot of anxiety and I know what that feels like, and it doesn't feel good.
Wow. Yeah, no, thanks a lot for that insight, Keyshawn. How about you, Lucy? As a high school student, what types of pressures or demands or things cause stress for you?
Definitely. So I have my schooling. I feel stress around it, but I feel like I have my school life much more together than I have my social life. I can totally relate to what Keyshawn's saying about the social life and not being able to fit in, and that being a big stressor, and having people come and go in my life. That I feel like is my biggest stressor and also impacts how I do in school. So it kind of is like a circle. It's like, oh, this happened. Well, now my school's being affected, and then like my school being affected doesn't make me feel good at all. So then I feel bad about the fact that my school is affected, and then it's just like a circle forever.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I'm going to ask you, Joel, a little bit of a different question. So they kind of talked about some of the things that bring them stress and heighten that level of stress for them. What are some ways that they can cope, or other students might be able to cope with some of those academic pressures and social pressures and just life transitions?
Yeah, so I think that, having the mindset of like you are able to get through something, whether it's a challenge or not understanding the context with the test, or, overall the subject in school, and also knowing that, sometimes you have ups, sometimes you have downs, sometimes you get stressed with school and life and, work balance and all that. So I just think that, having that good mindset and knowing that you'll be able to get through it, and that it's just a challenge for the meantime. It won't last forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks a lot for that. That's some great insight. Definitely having that mindset and developing those resilient skills can really enhance your ability to kind of cope with some of those things that you're dealing with. So definitely appreciate, you giving that insight on that, Joel. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Because when we talk about building this resilience, we know it is vitally important to build mental resilience in youth of color. Now, it's also important to recognize the impact of racial stress and discrimination on mental health. Young people can validate their experiences and seek support from culturally competent professionals who understand the unique challenges faced by youth of color. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Now, we would definitely want to celebrate our culture and our heritage and our identity, engaging in activities that can promote cultural pride, such as connecting with community-based organizations or participating in cultural events, and seeking out role models who inspire resilience. All of this can help to build your own mental resilience as well. And let's go ahead and move on. Now, what do schools have to do with cultivating resilience, one might ask? Well, schools can actually create safe and inclusive spaces where students can express themselves, where they can share their own experiences and find support. And this can be achieved through workshops, support groups, student organizations, cultural groups, or dedicated counseling services, all of which will help to build that resilience, to find that identity, to find your people, so to speak, and, understand that you're not alone. And that's something we want to make sure we share with all of our young folks, is that you're definitely not alone. Now let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Now, the importance of nutrition and mental resilience. Now, I can't stress this enough. It is vitally important for young folks to consume a healthy diet. That includes your fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Now, I'm not trying to be a doctor here, but we do have a clinician on the call, and I'd like to chime over to you a little bit, Ali, and ask how these foods can help us build that mental resilience.
Yeah, I'm certainly not an MD myself, but I think just generally speaking, it's like setting the stage for ourselves, giving ourselves the best shot to be able to practice resiliency or go into situations as like the best version of ourselves. I think with nutrition, that can be a huge piece of that, right? I think if you are going into a situation that you know is going to be extremely stressful and you've got a couple hours of sleep and one latte in your system and that's it, you're probably going to be way less likely to practice that resiliency or to have that confidence going through the situation, rather than if you've really been conscious about the full picture of your self-care, and just tending to those basic needs first. And I think going back to the basics can go a long way in anyone's mental health journey. So.
Certainly. I couldn't agree with you more. Going back to the basics, and, going back to those foods, going back to those basics actually can help provide those nutrients, for your brain to function and just to help your mood and whatnot. Also, in addition to that, hydration, right? Drinking enough water. Being dehydrated can certainly impact you, the way you feel, just the way your body can move and go back and forth. So, dehydration can certainly have a huge effect on your mood and just completely impact your day-to-day life. So students should definitely drink an adequate amount of water thoroughly throughout the day. And remember that sugar can also be something that can harm you as well. Excessive consumption of sugar as well as caffeine, as Ali mentioned with those lattes, that can also lead to energy crashes. It can lead to mood swings. It can lead to a number of different things that can really harm you and really kind of set you off track. So, staying hydrated, eating a balanced and healthy diet can certainly help you as you navigate your wellness and your mental health journey. Also, I want to also add that make sure if you are consuming sugar or whatever the case may be, that you're doing it in moderation. An overconsumption of that thing can really just set you on a bad path in terms of your physical health as well as your mental health. So just something to keep in mind. I think I've seen that dude before somewhere. But we want to keep the conversation going. And many of you here, you've probably heard this saying. There's a saying that says, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." Actually, I think that's the lyrics to a song that I've listened to like just earlier today. But anyways, we've heard this saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." But let's be honest, that's not always how it feels, right? Sometimes challenges can push us to grow, and other times challenges can just leave us absolutely drained. So right now, the question I want to present to y'all is, how do we tell this difference? When does a struggle actually help us build strength? And when is it just too much to hold? So I'd like to unpack this together with y'all, because resilience isn't about ignoring your pain. It's actually about learning what helps us recover from it. So right now, I'd actually like to ask two participants to join in on the conversation with me, and just briefly, like within 30 to 60 seconds, give me some responses in terms of the question: what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but is it true? When do the struggles make you stronger, and when do they tear you down? So if we can have someone on the back end, maybe just allow someone to come in, I'd appreciate hearing what some of our participants have to say. And alternatively, in the meantime, what I'd also like to ask is, if there isn't anyone that can just jump in right now, I actually would love for Dr. Rimti to maybe talk to us a little bit about whether it's something that's too much or whether it's something that can help you grow.
Yeah, thank you so much. I completely agree with you, right? From clinical perspective, the phrase really doesn't make sense because yes, struggles can make us stronger, but do you have the proper support systems in place? Do you have the safety and the space to recover? So there's something we call post-traumatic growth. When you've gone through something traumatic, when you've gone through something that is very exhausting, how do you learn from that? How do you grow from that? You have support, you have reflection, you build your coping capacity. But imagine someone doesn't have that. Someone doesn't have that safe space. Someone doesn't have the support system. So what happens then? The nervous system, the brain is still on high alert. The stress hormones that are there are still elevated, and over time it's causing anxiety, it's causing burnout, and even it can even lead to physical illness. So the fact that when we're saying that struggling is strength, it's about how we process it. It can only turn into a strength when we have people who listen to us without judgment. It can only turn into strength when we allow ourselves to rest and to make meaning of, okay, what happened? Did we learn something? Can we learn something from this incident? Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I can read real quick. Sarah says, I feel like it's mostly true, but it depends on if they have family or people that support them. Gray says it's true because it makes us stronger by having us confront the probability of being vulnerable, and it teaches us about ourselves. If we back away from that struggle, which means we know what our limit is, or have us learn a lesson about the situation. Eric says, when there's an actual lesson in what you're going through, if there's a goal at the end of it, but if the struggle is all pain and no gain, that's where it can become too much, I feel. And I agree. I think that if we're constantly being pushed past our limits and we don't have any break, we don't have any support, we don't have any time to recover, then that's when struggles start to wear us down and break us down instead of actually building us up. I feel like struggles make us stronger when we're able to find meaning or when we're able to grow from whatever it is that we're going through. When we do have space, when we do have time, when we do have support, it gives us a greater chance to grow from it. So it's not the pain itself that builds that strength. It's what you do with the pain that helps you grow, when you reflect, when you talk, so on and so forth. But I don't want to keep talking. I would love to hear some of y'all. So raise your hands. Let's get in on this conversation because this is a real topic that tends to hit all of us. Anybody want to chime in? Don't be scared. I know everyone has a threshold. Everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a level of resilience. My resilience level might not be Andre's resilience level, and so on and so forth. I think there is a hand, so I'm gonna go to Sarah.
Yeah, like I said in the chat, I also agree with what you said and what the doctor said completely because I feel like it depends on the situation and what the struggle is and if you have the people or support system that's around you. But if you don't have no support system and you're going through that struggle, like I feel like you're gonna feel alone and I feel like that's gonna affect you and you're gonna be like there's no there's nothing and you're gonna feel like I don't know how to say it, like you're gonna feel like this is not worth it and I feel like it's gonna affect your mental health later on.
Hmm. So I'm seeing, thank you so much for that, Sarah. I'm seeing a couple of people in the chat saying that they're kind of confused by the phrase. Does it mean it as it like what you don't know? Someone says, I don't really get it either. And I'm going to call on you, Patrick, to help us with this, but I'll take a crack at it. Personally, it's kind of like the way I look at it is like if you are sick, right? And you get like the flu or something and a person is sick, after you've gotten the flu and after your body heals and gets better, it didn't kill you. But now, when someone else has the flu, you've developed antibodies to help you make you stronger so that you more than likely might not get the flu again. It's not guaranteed, but it does make you stronger. That might not be the best analogy. Well, we got Dr. Renty and we got Patrick here. So I'd love to hear your words, Patrick, about this.
Yeah, thank you, Coach Crum. Um, I would say that I've been through a lot. So what doesn't kill you make you stronger certainly is true in a sense. However, there's another fact that most people ignore is that what doesn't kill you give you scars. A lot of it. And scar tissue can be very, very painful. I'm in dermatology, so that's my analogy. Scar tissue can be very painful, very tight, and very uncomfortable, just like the thing that didn't kill us, right? So, how to successfully become stronger after encounter something that didn't kill you, you have to be able to have the coping skills necessary to overcome and to treat those scars and to care for them, because otherwise they will cause you heartache. Many of us who have high A score, and for those of you at home, A score stands for adverse childhood events, meaning that when you were in your formative years, you encounter something that is not, you should have not witnessed, like your parents fighting or, witness a homicide or something like that. Um, those A score determine how you interact with the world, and it can affect you negatively throughout your adulthood. And for me, having a high A score didn't kill me, but certainly gave me those scars and had really negative impact on me psychologically and emotionally. And thank goodness I have access to therapy and have good friends and family that can support me through the system, but not everybody have that. So sometime encounter something that won't kill you will actually do. You will have to be prepared for it and reach out for help. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength.
Couldn't have said it better. Thank you very much for that, Patrick. Right now, I'm gonna pass it back over to Alexi so we can keep going in our conversation. But in the meantime, I'm gonna drop a link for the ACEs score so y'all can check that out when you have a moment. But yeah, take it away, Alexa.
Thank you so much, Coach Crump, and everyone who shared such amazing insights. We're gonna do a quick survey right now, so we're gonna put it in the chat. It is our Blue Shield survey. This is how you guys continue to support the pod at 7 and Mental Health California as a whole. So please take a minute to fill it out. It's just basic information and about a program. So we'll give you guys about 1 minute for that. And once you guys have finished, go ahead and put a thumbs up in the chat, please. Okay, perfect. You guys keep filling those out. Please, please, please make sure to finish them up. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Andre for our trivia number 2.
Thank you for that, Alexios. And as he said, it's time for trivia number 2. The second one of the day, what everyone's waiting for. And do not forget, you guys, make sure your answer is to everyone, not just the host and panelists or anybody in particular. Just make sure it says to everyone so your answer can get counted. And then another reminder is the answers are not just A, B, C, and D. They are random letters. So make sure that you guys actually read the question before you answer it, because, if you just guess A, and it was a different letter, and you might have won, but you didn't read the question. So make sure you read the question, and we're going to drop the trivia question in the chat now. And that question is, what 2024 sci-fi film stars Adam Driver as an astronaut fighting dinosaurs? There's X50, Q65, H99, and G42. So go ahead, answer that. This is going to be for your guys' gift card on top of your stipend. I see a lot of good guesses in here. Yeah, I actually do not know the answer for this one. So you guys are going to be a lot smarter than me if you get the answer. And we will have a winner here shortly. Yeah, this one's, I mean, honestly, I just figured it out. So, can't wait to see what all of you guys come up with. We got a bunch of different answers. QH, Q, GX. Yeah, it looks like we have a winner, and want to congratulate Catherine Ortiz as the winner. It was Q65. So congrats to our winner, and we're going to move on to our Zoom poll. I'm going to pass it over to Patrick.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. We heard a lot about mental resiliency, so we want to know what do you think? What is the hardest part about staying mentally strong? Let's see what your answer is. Oh yeah, for sure. Try to handle everything on my own without burning out. Yeah, that's a trait of I have it. It's type A personality where you can do everything yourself. Yeah, we split pretty evenly, huh? Oh, things are changing. Okay. Yeah. So, as we discussed during this sessions, having mental resiliency doesn't mean that you don't have to feel anything and that you have to do everything on your own and you cannot get for help, because showing the need for help or asking for help would consider a weakness. It's not. It's being smart and about your resources and your time. Your brain have only so much capacity to process these difficulty and challenges. And if you overwhelm it, what's gonna happen is the second most popular answer, you're gonna get behind because you zone out. There's something called decision paralysis. I don't know if you guys heard about it. Basically, when you have so many things going on and so many choices, you froze because you could not make a decision. So do yourself a favor and figure out what is the most important thing for you to do, and then move on. The rest can be done later. There's something that I really resonate with me when I was on Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot, unfortunately. But something that really resonate with me is that the people who are the most tired are the people who have to stay strong all the time. It's not that we as men of color have a problem being strong. We are very strong. We survive many, many difficult things in our life. The problem is we don't know how long we have to be strong for. What is the duration of staying mentally strong? Because for someone like me, for example, been strong for 35 years because I've encountered one racist remark after another, one, undermining my authority because of my sexuality and questioning whether I can be successful because of my language capability, because I'm an immigrant. There are so many things that just the society continuously thrown at us, that life continuously thrown at us, and it make us so tired because we have to keep bracing ourselves to be strong. And I don't want you to have to keep going. If you don't feel like you are strong, reach out to somebody and say that you are not okay. It's okay to ask for help. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Alexio to do our next video presentation.
Wow, so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing, Patrick. And yep, we're gonna hop into our next video presentation called Building Mental Resilience.
When we talk about de-stressing for mental resilience, that includes engaging in regular exercise. And when you engage in exercise, it releases endorphins or mood boosters, which help to reduce your stress. And it also improves your overall well-being. Now, students should try to find physical activities that they enjoy, such as dancing, yoga, or other team sports. Also, learning mindfulness techniques such as deep breathing, relaxation, and guided meditations, all of which can be beneficial as well. All of these practices can help to reduce your stress, help to improve your focus, and promote your emotional well being. So, I want to ask some of our youth here today, when it comes to de stressing and building your mental resilience, because I saw you all raise your hand and said that you build your mental resilience. So, what are some of the things that you do to de stress or to build that mental resilience? And I'll go ahead and ask you first, Lucy.
I like going to the gym. I like lifting weights and running. It's really calming, but I think that's something that helps me build mental resilience and helps me work through my issues is writing music. I like to write stuff that is about my emotions, and it helps me really think about what I'm feeling and work through what I'm feeling. And I think it's a really great coping mechanism.
How about you, Joel? Ways that you de stress or build up your mental resilience?
Yeah, for me, to de-stress, I like to either, listen to music, go home, lay down, just definitely relax, try to limit the stress that I put on my body, and also just think about what's going on right now. I know a lot of times we think about the future or think about the past or think about what we have to do tomorrow or the assignment that's coming up. I try to practice, you know, so to speak, that resilience and just thinking about the time as of right now. What am I doing right now? What can I control? If my mood is down, I could either get up, I could read a book, or I could go and exercise. So,
All right. How about you, Keyshawn? What are some ways that you de stress or build up your mental resilience?
I would just echo everything that Lucy and Joel said. I'd say being physical, I'd say creating, writing things down, journaling, eating right, like you guys said in previous slides, making sure your nutrition is right. And I like to tell people, look, like these things are not going to solve your problems for you. Like if your friends are mean, meditating isn't going to make your friends stop being mean. But what it's going to do is you're going to build this mental resilience, and it's going to elevate your mood. It's going to elevate your calmness and your ability to, when you get in stressful situations, to sort of calm down and have the right energy and the right mood in order to pick the right thing to do. So that's what it's about. It's not about, hey, okay, now I'm working out 4 days a week and bam, my depression's gone. Like that's not what it's about. It's about building this mental resilience so you can attack your problems the right way. And I felt like it's really helping me out.
Because we want to talk about other types of solutions and other tips. And some of those include clinical and holistic healing solutions, right? So therapy is one of them. And therapy can provide a safe space for students to explore their emotions and develop coping strategies. And holistic practices such as art therapy, music therapy, kind of like writing music, as well as other nature-based activities, can also provide natural healing. As I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at our slide and there's a young person playing the guitar. And it just reminds me of like how music is such a wonderful way to relax, to calm oneself, as well as if you're able to create it, right? Whether you make beats or whether you write, spoken word across music, or you rap, or you sing, or you play an instrument. All of these types of creative outlets can help you with your mental. And it also brings you joy. It's something that can certainly elevate your mood and just provide you with another outlet to explore as you go on your wellness journey. So definitely appreciate that, Ali, and adding that tidbit to the conversation as well. So let's go ahead and move on to our next slide, because we want to talk about some tips for building mental resilience. And we've already kind of talked about this a little bit, and we talked about building mental resilience, and we know that students can learn to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Also understanding that by viewing setbacks as learning experiences, we understand that students are able to look at their situations that they've been through and grow through them, believing in their abilities to overcome obstacles, looking back at, their accomplishments, looking back at what they've gone through and what they've been through, and understanding that they're still here, which in and of itself is a type of resilience. Additionally, students can seek support from friends. They can seek support from mentors, as well as counselors. Having a strong support system can certainly provide a sense of belonging and can also help students navigate those difficult times. And so I want to ask some of our students here today, when it comes to your campus, what might a student be able to, or where might a student be able to find some support on their campus to kind of help build them up if they're feeling low? And I'll ask Keyshawn first.
I would say definitely I bring up peer counseling a lot, and I bring out different programs that I know that Sac State has. So there's these things where you could go to quiet places and you could just meditate if you're feeling tired, or you could even take a nap or something if you don't have any other quiet place to be. So that can sort of help out your energy levels. There's a big fitness center that is complementary with your education. So you can go there, you can work out whenever you feel like you need to do that. I would also say talk to your professors too, because they know what it's like to be students. They had to get their PhDs, so they've been students for a long time. So they know what it feels like, and they know what you're going through. So I've learned a lot from my professors about how to study, about just how to live life, really. So I feel like those are always great resources.
How about you, Joel? If I were starting at Los Angeles City College in the fall, what might I want to look for, or, reach out in terms of resources and support?
Yeah, you can definitely talk to the counselors. They're very helpful, especially with, getting everything sorted, what classes you need to take, what requirements you need to either go to what is it called? So for your classes, overall just developing that support system. Like Keyshawn said, it took the words right out of my mouth. Either talking to a counselor or the professor, or someone on campus that you feel comfortable with. You can talk to them about your feelings, and overall just seeking that support so they can help you.
Nice. Thanks a lot for that, Joel. No, totally. I want to make sure that you're reaching out to folks. Now, I want to ask you, Lucy, now you're in high school, what types of resources are available for someone who's at El Cerrito High School?
So we are very lucky because we have the James Morehouse Project, which is basically a segment of our campus that has a mental health center where it has quiet rooms, counselors, like so many social workers. They even have their own health clinic, and it's just a nice place for anyone who is feeling anxious, stressed, needs somewhere to chill out. They also have drop-in services if anyone needs to drop in and talk to a counselor that day. And they have weekly therapy. So you can sign up, and every Monday during second block, you can go to therapy. And it's great, but we don't have any other resources like a college does with the free classes or anything. But yeah, that's what we have.
So let's move on to our next slide, because there's some other tips as well, and we want to talk about them. And when we talk about these other tips, they include a number of different things, like setting achievable goals and breaking those huge goals into smaller chunks. You break it down into smaller chunks and you knock them off one by one. My mom, she used to tell me, don't worry about graduating right now, son. Just chip away at it. Just chip away at it. Chip away at it. And I began to do that in my own way of taking maybe a reduced course load where I was overwhelming myself by taking too many classes. And I was like, you know what? Let me just take my time with this. And I found that by doing that, I was able to achieve my goals, and make it much more manageable. And also, it felt good. It built that confidence up when you're knocking stuff off that list. It feels like you're accomplished and it kind of reduces those feelings of failure. Another way that you can do, and I think Joel talked about this earlier, was reframing your thoughts. Try to have that positive mindset. That's certainly a way to kind of build up, your resilience and just kind of get you on a positive track. Challenge your own negative talk and focus on your strengths, focus on your abilities, focus on your accomplishments. Those are certainly things that you can, pour into yourself, just to kind of build up that mental resilience.
It's step by step. I love how Coach Crump put it there, right? If you focus on the end goal, the process becomes scary, but when you're actually in the process, you reach the end goal. So, that was beautifully said. I'm gonna pass it over to Andre though for our trivia 3 since we're running short on time.
Thank you for that, Alexios. I would, just like say again, you can only answer once. You cannot answer multiple times with multiple different letters, because that will automatically disqualify you, from the extra trivia. And with that being said, we're gonna jump into our final trivia of the night, trivia number 3, and that is, what gas do plants breathe in to make oxygen? M, hydrogen, J, oxygen, S, nitrogen, or T, carbon dioxide. So you guys can go ahead and answer that, and we'll have a winner here in no time. And once again, make sure your guys' answers are directed to everyone, not just the hosts and panelists as well. Because everyone needs to be able to see your answers in order for you guys to get your stipend. Seeing a lot of mix here. We got an A. A was not on the list there. But congratulations, Jeremiah Lopez. The correct answer was T, carbon dioxide. So you will get an extra $25 gift card, and you will see that on top of your stipend for today's session. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it back over to Alexios.
Thank you so much, Andre. We're super short on time. We had such amazing conversations today. We're right at the border. If we can please have that sign in the chat. Everybody, if you guys can please make sure you sign in. That is directly tied to your stipend. So go ahead and make sure you click on that link and sign in. I want to say thank everybody for joining today. I want to emphasize that building mental resilience takes true time. I'll leave it at that. Make sure to join us at the next pod at 7 on Wednesday, December 3rd, Understanding Youth Depression. Once you guys are signed in, you guys are all good to go. I want to thank you guys so much.